Okay, so you're probably most famous in the racing world for riding See Then to victory 3 times at Cheltenham. But that may never have happened, as in your early days I read you took a swing at Nicky Henderson.
Well, yeah, sort of. See, Nick, well, is a perfectionist. And when we were schooling one day, I mean, things start going wrong. He used to lose his rag a little bit. And I can't remember exactly what he said to me as I jumped off this horse after schooling him. But he said something, and I was fucking, oh dear, I lost it. And I went to pull back the trigger, right? And the horse, I was hanging on to the horse, and I pulled back the trigger to fucking hit him. And the horse threw his head back. And as he threw his head back, he pulled me back. So the swing actually went whoosh, by him like that. If I had hit him, I probably wouldn't have ridden See Then. But you know, that's it. You know, you work hard, you play hard, and yeah, so be it.
Now, the story behind your first ride, See Then, is you know, also quite unusual. John Francome, your great mate, fell previously on the reject.
Yeah, I mean, I was first jockey to Nicky Henderson, and I rode all the horses apart from See Then. The Italian count who owned him had some deal with Francome. So, and bearing in mind, it was only one horse out of 70, 80. Although he was a good horse, he got beat in the Triumph Hurdle. He finished second in the Triumph Hurdle. So it didn't bother me that much. And that year was the first time I won him was 85. I actually won the Supreme Novices on River Kerryog for Nick. That bolted in 15 lengths. The second race that day was the Arkle Trophy, the Novice Chase. And Francome rode the reject, Fred Winter in it. And he fell. And as the horse was getting up, his leg went up with it. He got hung up. And luckily for Francome, right, one of the fence attendants ran over and grabbed it. Otherwise, Francome had been galloping around the track, hung up, and he'd probably been dead. So, okay, the following race was the Champion Hurdle. Frank's due to ride it. And he was a bit shook up, obviously. And bearing in mind, See Then was a 16-to-1 shot in 1985. And I think, to myself, Francome thought, well, it's only a 16-to-1 shot. I haven't got any other good rides. He cried off. He wasn't physically hurt, but as you can imagine, he was pretty shook up. So that is how I got to ride See Then in 1985, literally 10 minutes before the race. And okay, Brown's Gazette, Dermot Brown, I think, was red hot favourite. He reared up and twisted round at the start and lost, I don't know, 10 lengths or whatever. Dermot got a lot of stick for it afterwards. When it transpired, he wasn't as straight as he could have been. But I don't think, looking at that start time and time again, that you could do anything like that deliberately. You can't make a horse jump, rear up and sort of whip round. He may have got the horse a little bit too close to the tape deliberately, I don't know. I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But at the time, I didn't think it was deliberate. But even if he had have jumped off with the field, right, I don't believe he'd have beat me anyway.
I was going to ask that because you won very easily.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, I was coming to the last, tracking, I think it was Gay Brief or something like that. And I was full of running. Absolutely full of running. And he was the sort of horse you could not hit the front till after you jumped the last. So I took a lead over the last, and he sprinted 7 lengths clear. And that was sprinting clear, hands and heels, slap down the shoulder. I don't think I ever picked the stick up. And as I say, I don't think Brown's Gazette would have beaten that day. But that just shows you how luck plays so much of a part in life, certainly in the racing game. And that was it. That was the start.
And you went on to confirm.
But I tell you what, the amazing thing was about that incident there with Francome on the reject, right? Very rarely would you see a jockey get hung up, right? I think Francome was one, and then we had a British racing team that went to Australia, and there was a kid over there called Grant Ace. He got hung up in a race. He fell and he got carried to the next fence and hit the fence, and he shattered his left leg. And I remember all the boys going to see him in hospital 2 days later. So that's how dangerous it is. And Francome rode the reject next time out, about 3 or 4 weeks later, at Chepstow. Lo and behold, he fell again, got hung up again, and luckily the fence attendants caught the horse, and he came in and he threw his saddle on the bench, said, that's me done, boys, I'm out of here. And he finished just like that. And that was a reject, getting hung up twice on it.
You and Francome were famously great mates, and still are great mates.
Oh God, yeah.
No, we haven't got enough time for all the John Francome stories, but you got any you want to relate to us?
Oh yes, I got a Francome one. Oh, it's a bit rude.
That's all right.
It's a bit rude, but this is the gospel truth. Right, okay. We go to Newbury races one day. Raining a bit, and normally when jockeys go to a meeting, they go an hour before they do to ride. Yeah, right, okay. So it gives you plenty of time to get changed, have a cup of tea, whatever, have a chat. So we're there an hour. Right. So, me and Francome, we're riding, we were riding all the races that day. But we were sat there, we got changed into our colours and whatever, and Francome was telling this joke, right? It was a joke, right? And it involved anal sex, right? So Bill Smith in the Royal Colours, who was just sat down there, Bill was a little bit like that, he was. He sort of earwigging and whatever, and he didn't realise it was a joke, right? So he thought Francome had been having anal sex with his girl the night before. Right, okay. Then all of a sudden, I don't know whether people realise this, when jockeys ride in a race, they get there an hour early, the doorman comes in and said, right jockeys, get changed and whatever, and then there's a bell rang for you to go out into the paddock. Well, when this bell rang, Francome was drinking a cup of tea chatting to me, and they'd put in a new bell, and it was like a bloody fire alarm, and it was directly above where me and Frank sat. So he jumped like fucking, spilt all his bloody coffee all over me. So what the hell's happened to him? Anyway, when I rode in the first, it happens again for the second. Francome says, right, that's it. He stood on my shoulders, and we all wear tights underneath our breeches, right, to keep you warm in winter and help your boots slip on and whatever. He got on my shoulders and he tied a pair of tights around this bell, right? So the third race, I think it's a 7-8 runner chase. Francome's in it, Bill Smith's in it, Bob Champion, Phil Blacker, me, and a couple of other guys. So all we realised that something was amiss is when the stewards come bursting into the weighing room saying, where are you, you buggers, get out there, the Queen, because Bill Smith's riding for the Queen Mum. The Queen Mum's getting bloody piss wet through, get out there, you're 5 minutes late. So we all went out, whatever, and the race was off. Coming back in, I think Francome had won it. Bob Champion was second. I was third, close third, and they announced a steward's inquiry. So Francome looks at me, looks at Bob, I said, what's all that about then? He said, because he didn't do anything wrong. I said, no, everything went off okay. So we all of us, all 6, 7 riders get pulled in front of the stewards because the race had gone off nigh on 10 minutes late, and the Queen Mother had got a good old drenching, right? And the stewards they were embarrassed for the Queen Mum. So you picture the scene. You got the 3 stewards behind the desk, the bench, right? And it's like a bloody kangaroo court, and you are guilty until proven innocent, right? Okay. So, right, guys, 10 minutes late. Why is this? So we elect Bill Smith as sort of spokesman because he's got the royal collars on, and he's standing right in front of the stewards with his hands behind his back like a little schoolboy. Okay, arm to his left side, Bob Champion's to the right side, and directly behind him, which I thought was strange, was Francome. Right, so Bill's giving this spiel about the faulty bell and this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden I'm looking out the corner of my eye, and Francome unzips his racing breeches, and he gets his todger out, and he flops it into Bill Smith's hand. Right, so Bill Smith is going through this his recital of the excuses, and all of a sudden he's squeezing this thing in his hand. And he suddenly realises what it is, and he looks round and sees Francome, and all he's thinking about is anal sex. And, well, I tell you what, the fucking 7 of us, we fell about laughing on the floor. The stewards didn't know what was happening, because quick as a flash, Francome did his zip up, and Bill Smith is rubbing his hand. It was the funniest thing. We all got fined fucking 50 quid. Dear me, it's the best 50 quid I ever spent. Yeah, true story that.